final speaker for tonight, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ashraf El-Mashad, a Managing Director of Deloitte with more than 7 years' experience in consumer business. Please welcome our final speaker for tonight, Mr. Ashraf. Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Ash, and I'm a senior manager within Deloitte. I think you've already heard a little bit about consulting from Fiona, but I don't think it's that unusual within a business conference to hear from more than one consulting firm. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Deloitte. Specifically, I've been asked by Regents to talk to you guys about, not about work experience, which is what Fiona covered, but a little bit about what a career in consulting can actually do for you in terms of growing personally and professionally. So let me start off with sort of how we would think about what exactly is consulting and who are Deloitte. So firstly, consulting is essentially the provision of expert advice and opinion about any kind of business-related subject matter or a specific industry. So typically, the key sort of value point is that you're looking to add real tangible value to client organizations. And that can be through changes to strategy, to process, technology, or people. So it can cover a whole range of different topics, industries, subject areas. But it's about the provision of advice. So you're acting as advisors. Also, consultants can be asked to come in and talk to and help clients by providing almost an objective external opinion. And that can be particularly important when you're trying to affect change in an organization. So often the view of a consultant is considered to be sort of unbiased and actually much more data informed rather than sort of emotional, and that can sometimes be a challenge within a client organization. But also consultants can be asked to come in because they've got specialist expertise and knowledge about a subject matter or area. So you might not have a particular capability in your organization, and so you might ask consultants to come in because, for instance, they might be experts in digital or experts in a particular technological area, or, for instance, a strategy capability, which is where I work. Now, a little bit about Deloitte. So everyone will always highlight their kind of best cred, and our best cred is that we're the global #1 consulting firm by revenue, and we've been that way for 4 years. A lot of people will have heard of Deloitte as one of the big 4 professional services firms, typically associated with tax and audit and all that corporate finance stuff, but actually we've got a really huge consulting practice as well. We recruit about 300 graduates in the UK alone every year. So there's, across a whole range of different competencies, so there's plenty of opportunity within the consulting business. There are 3 different competency areas within Deloitte Consulting. Human capital and technology, pretty self-explanatory, so people and then technology. But also strategy and operations. I work within strategy. And our sort of go-to-market brand is Monitor Deloitte. It was actually a merger between the company I originally joined when I graduated, which was a Harvard-based consultancy, strategy consultancy called Monitor Group, which was acquired by Deloitte about 3 years ago, and that now forms the strategy practice within Deloitte. So I'm going to talk to you to answer the sort of brief that I was given about what a career in consulting can do for you, how it can help you grow personally and professionally, in the context of why a career at Monitor Deloitte was a great place for me to launch my career. And I think there are 4 areas, 4 key aspects. And the first is really about helping you become a leader. It's all about leadership. As a top-tier strategy consultancy, it basically gives you exposure to some of the world's top businesses, and not just that, but working with the leaders of those top businesses. So when you're fresh out of university and you get to sit at a table with a CEO or people at C-suite, not just that, but even managing directors or general managers. So you're actually working with leaders on a day-to-day basis. That's unprecedented exposure, and to do that so early on in your career is really a great opportunity. Now, Monitor Deloitte actually focuses on strategy exclusively. So we don't do anything else in terms of operations, implementation, outsourcing, all of that type of stuff, but the rest of Deloitte Consulting can. Strategy is where I work, and that's really all about making choices. And it's about working with your clients side by side to make choices that will help them achieve their full ambitions. Now, strategy is also typically at the heart of a business. It addresses the most critical, fundamental issues to a business, and you'll tend to be working with the most senior executives, the highest level executives in an organization. So again, that exposure to leadership is just unprecedented, and I think has been incredibly valuable for me in terms of developing my own leadership capabilities and skills. The great thing, though, about working within a broader consulting organization is that the strategy isn't just pie in the sky, kind of here's some, some advice about what you should do and then you walk away. We actually have the implementation, execution capabilities as well through the rest of the Deloitte organization. So we can actually turn that strategy into a reality working with the organization. So if you're not interested in the strategy definition and you're more interested in actually making it happen through operations, through implementation, through particular sort of technological implementations as well, there is an opportunity to do that within the broader consulting business as well.
Can I ask you a really quick question?
Yes?
You were saying that you work with top leaders at top firms. Would that include governments?
Yep, I was just coming on to that. So Deloitte, we consult for, as a global organization, we consult for the majority of the global top 100 companies across a broad range of industries. So for people sitting in this room who either A, are unsure about what industry they want to go into, I think Louisa talked about that before, about trying to make some choices about where it is you want to steer your career. This is a great place to actually get some exposure across a broad range of industries to help you think about, okay, hang on a sec, based on a real life experience, where do I want to go? Where do I want to build the rest of my career? And I'll come on to sort of career paths a little bit later in the presentation. But yes, we work with pharmaceutical firms, biotech firms, government organizations as well, so we do a lot of public sector work. We work with consumer goods and retail organizations, which is my specialty, but also industrials, a whole range of different industries. Secondly, it is about making an impact. So if you want to feel kind of a sense of fulfillment in your job in terms of you're actually making a real difference to organizations, to businesses, to people within organizations, consulting is a great way of doing that, because not only might you work with a single client, but you can work with multiple clients and make an impact across a range of different organizations and companies. And in that sort of impact making, I guess, it also puts you on the fast track in terms of learning about businesses. So if you're working in your first 2 to 3 years and you've worked on projects across 3, 4, 5 different industries, you're learning all that time about different industries, different strategic questions and challenges. So it really is all about making an impact. Now, within Monitor Deloitte, the strategy arm, we focus exclusively on growth. We try to help businesses grow. So for those of you in the audience who want to one day start your own businesses and be entrepreneurs, getting an insight into actually what it takes to make businesses grow from a small starting point to an organization with scale, strategy is a great place to do that, and a great place for you to learn about how to do that. We essentially help organizations find new sources of growth or grow with what they already have, so to try to maximize based on the existing assets, or we help organizations configure themselves to be able to deliver against the growth opportunities that we've helped them identify as well. Now, there's a range of different, it's not just a range of different industries that you work across, but a range of different competency areas as well. So a range of different strategic topics and challenges and questions that clients might come to you and talk about. So what you can see here is sort of almost our full suite of services that we offer within Monitor Deloitte. The ones that we call our alphas at the top are sort of differentiating aspects of our catalog. I'm going to talk to you now a little bit about a client example that I recently worked with that actually brought some of these together in addition to the implementation and execution capabilities in the broader Deloitte consulting firm that I talked about earlier. And that was for a client, Eastpak, you know, the ones who do the backpacks. So that was one of my clients recently, which came to us with a question about growth. How do I actually grow my business? But it was quite a specific question. It was around, how do I grow my business using digital? Digital, they knew, was a huge opportunity in the marketplace and a great way of engaging consumers or as a sales channel. But the question was, how can we actually use digital in a meaningful, choiceful way to help unlock growth and accelerate growth for our business? And that's essentially what we spent the first 10 weeks working on, is the strategy. Firstly, what were the opportunities? How are you actually going to grow the business? What are the most attractive opportunities? Where do we have the biggest ability to win? And then helping them make some choices about where they should play and essentially how they're going to win against those opportunities. And we spent some time then being specific to say, okay, but then how is digital going to help unlock those opportunities? And what are the most sort of important areas for digital to play a role? But we didn't just stop there at the strategy. We've given them the opportunities. We've said, here are the top 3 opportunities you've got and the areas in which digital can unlock that growth. We took it then a step further through the rest of the Deloitte organization by bringing in, for instance, our Deloitte digital capability, which is a dedicated agency within the business, and we were able to collaborate with them in our digital studio to start making that strategy a reality. We're not there to actually go to market and become retailers, but what we were able to use with the Deloitte digital capability is a way of trialing and testing some of these opportunities before they actually went away and started to invest fully in a global rollout of the recommendations that we were making. So it was a kind of a test and learn experience. I did have a video. I don't know if it's going to work.
Dubstep sounds in the funk, mashing up the dubstep sound. To the dubstep sounds in the funk. To the dubstep sounds in the funk, mashing up the team.
It's about almost a year ago now that we, with the brand team, we were deciding that our brand has such a potential, but we didn't exploit it really to the max. And we were analyzing the different reasons why. And one of the reasons is because we rely so much on third-party retailers to expose the brand and product portfolio that we wanted to overcome that hurdle, that obstacle. We got in touch with the Deloitte team and they really helped us to bring this mission alive.
It's exciting to be able to not only do something completely new with a client. I mean, this is a really fantastic experience. It's one of the best digital commerce experience in the physical world that anybody's seen. But it's also good to be involved in every step of their process, from helping them understand the fundamental strategy all the way through to building something and then seeing how it trades and helping them trade it effectively.
So in the pop-up shop, we are road testing 2 key different elements. The first is how we can drive traffic to the store using e-commerce and through social media. And the second is to test how effective a digital in-store experience is for making sales on products that aren't physically stocked in the shop. We've seen increased engagement from the consumers with the brand on social media, and that's translating into increased traffic both to the e-commerce platform and also to the pop-up shop. And through the pop-up shop, we've also seen high levels of engagement with the digital touchscreens, which is really encouraging. So what you'll find here in the store is 9 of Eastpak's best bags, which we've hand-selected perfect for the London market. Obviously, these bags come in a range of different styles and colours, and these are all accessible on our touchscreens. This is the digital screen that you can use to shop the different products in the Eastpak range. We've got 3 different journeys that you can go through depending on how much you know about the screen and about the products. So if we start here with the Inspire Me journey, this is designed to ask questions about your preferences and behaviours to work out which is the perfect Eastpak bag for you. So the first question, vinyl or MP3? Then you can choose workout or coffee shop, over-ear or in-ear headphones, and food market or retail therapy. And now it's just the perfect Eastpak bag for you. At any point during the process, you can hit the Order Now button, and this will send an alert to one of our sales assistants. He'll come through and process your order.
It's too loud, you remember. That's right, the way it was intended.
They'll also collect your customer information so that your product can be delivered straight to your home within 24 hours.
This project is very exciting because it potentially, let's hope so, opens up a completely new channel for selling to our consumers. We have classical stores, we have partnership with key accounts, we have digital, but we don't have a mix of digital and classical store. That's what we want to do here.
Okay, so that just gives you a little bit of a sense of how we can actually move all the way from the very beginning of the process, strategy definition, identifying growth opportunities, and then being able to work with the client to deliver something real in the marketplace, to be able to test and learn from what will and won't work in the marketplace. And that then has informed quite a lot in terms of how they're going to roll this out globally and be a leader in terms of digital retail. So I wanted to share a project experience just to kind of bring it to life a little bit more. And just to wrap up this point about impact, really, as I said, it's all around trying to deliver something real and something tangible for the client. And you can be a part of doing that, even at a junior level within the organization. Thirdly, it's also about connecting. It's about gaining exposure to different cultures, different ways of working, different kinds of businesses, and you do that not only through the teams, but also the opportunity that you get across the whole global footprint that Deloitte has. I mean, certainly since I've been a consultant, I've visited 19 countries as part of my job. I've been doing this for 7 years, and it's just been fantastic in terms of opportunity to travel, but also to learn a lot about global business, not just business in the UK as well. And then finally, some of the points in here around developing, we've already touched on with some of the other speakers, but a career in consulting can also really help you almost fast-track the development of your career by giving you that exposure that I talked about. There are some people who actually quite like a structured career path, and that's what sometimes a consulting career can offer you if that's important to you. So typically, at Deloitte, we've got 7 stages from analyst all the way to partner. Typically, you might spend the first 2 to 4 years of your career in the first 2 stages, gaining really as much experience as you probably can. You're basically a sponge and you're soaking up as much as you can understand about different industries, content areas, etc. So you're part of the associates pool, you get to work on a range of different projects, and for what Louisa was talking about in the presentation just before in terms of figuring out what it is you want to do, it can actually be a great place to start your career. It's from the senior consultant stage that you actually start to specialize. So when you get to senior consultant, you can make a much more informed decision about what industry you want to focus on, what kind of content areas excite you, and there's opportunities to kind of cross and transfer within the organization to the areas that are most exciting to you. No 2 career paths at Deloitte are exactly the same, and people will specialize in different areas and they'll work for different clients, and they will deviate, particularly from the senior consultant point. And I think the other point as well is that there are fantastic training programs over the course of your career. So learning particular types of skills and going on, quite extensive training programs. Deloitte puts quite a lot of investment into training, which again can look fantastic for you in your CV. I think the only final thing I will mention here is that not everyone wants to make a full career out of being a consultant, and they will at some point leave. And that's fine, and that's expected, and we sometimes encourage that when people find the right opportunity for them outside as well. So the question is, how then can consulting serve as almost that springboard for you to launch your career, whether it's because you want to start your own business or whether it's because you want to move into a particular industry. Consulting can give you that exposure and that insight early on, and then that can help you move forward. Yeah.
Regarding what you said, the Deloitte, I was wondering, you put like a very structured career path, correct? I was wondering if there's any way to fast track it or to skip. Oh, okay, yeah. So if you refer back to your other slide,
yep.
you made it very structured, right? It's, you can see every single point, and I don't know if I was not paying attention or what, but I didn't hear you mention, is there a way to fast track, for example, I started as an analyst. Is there a way to make it faster for me to arrive as a director or a partner, or to skip some of the steps? Other than demonstrating my own work.
Fair question. To be honest, it all depends on you. It depends on your performance.
Okay.
You're not going to skip any steps. You're not going to skip any steps. But what you can do is, if you're good and you perform well, we've had people who got through the analyst consultant grades in a year and a half. So that all depends on you, your performance, and how really you drive and steer your career. Particularly also if you come in with previous experience. I know some of you might be doing MBAs. MBAs might not necessarily start at the analyst level. You can start at consultant or senior consultant. That will be dependent on your experience and also how well you perform at interview. No problem. Okay, so just to wrap up, the final thing I was asked to talk to you guys about a little bit, which I know that Fiona talked about a little bit already, is what do we actually look for in new graduates? There's a list here of maybe 10 typical characteristics that we might look for in consultants. And these things need to be demonstrated. It's not enough for you to just say, I am a good communicator, or I am a team player, or I am committed. It all comes across much more powerfully if you demonstrate that, both in your written applications, but also in your interview. I'm just going to give you some examples. For instance, problem solving, coursework, internships. Talk about the coursework, your internships. Be able to talk about them in detail and demonstrate how you solved problems. Something like being committed. Give examples about how you've set, for instance, long-term goals and then how you've achieved them and what the outcome of that might be. So really, when you are thinking about your applications, it's not enough to say that you are certain things. You have to show it and show that through the examples that you've talked about. And as Fiona said, work experience is so critical in enabling you to do that. But also, if you're involved in things within your university, talk about those, be able to sell yourself, and tie those to the skill set that you're trying to demonstrate. And then finally, in terms of steps, this will differ slightly depending on organization. At Deloitte, these are the 5 steps, but I can imagine they're quite similar in other consulting businesses as well. The first step, and quite consistent everywhere, is the online application and the CV and cover letter. I can't stress enough how getting your CV and cover letter right to begin with is so important, because, to be honest, from quite simple things like spelling mistakes, grammatical errors, formatting, that can actually get your CV put straight in the wastebasket. So making sure it's absolutely right, get people to look at it. Don't be shy, kind of get people to look at it, get some feedback. To Louise's point, be self-aware in terms of how you're putting yourself forward on paper. And then there are some psychometric tests, both numerical and critical thinking. This is almost like the basic level to try and get you into any kind of business, really. But particularly for consulting, we need to make sure that you're at sort of a basic level, particularly for people who might not be coming in with a numerical background or a numerical degree. These are quite important. But then once you're through that, you get through to the interview stage, where you'll be asked to do case studies, face-to-face with an interviewer, group exercises to see how you might interact with other people. I think as the first speaker talked about, it's not about kind of being a superstar sometimes. It is literally about how you work with other people, how you can take feedback, how you can almost lead teams as well. And then finally, in a final interview round with a partner typically, you may be asked to also do presentation and demonstrate your communication capabilities and skills. Okay, I apologize. I zipped through that because there's quite a lot to get through, but I hope that's been helpful and useful. And I'll be around later if people have questions. Thank you.